just wanted to be just like my dad.
That's awesome.
I wanted to be better than my dad, not in an egotistical way, but I just wanted to fix his mistakes, do better.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how I looked at my life. That's exactly,
I started playing football because my dad played football. I started wrestling because my dad wrestled.
Welcome to another episode of Kaizen Kast, Small Steps, Big Changes. I'm your host, TJ Delvecchio. Today, we have another guest, Camarre, that came on into my life at the gym recently over the last 2 years, and he's really touched my life because I got to tell you this. He's a young man that's about as old as my oldest son. He's 25 years old, and he acts like he's 35. He's taught me a lot because at 25 I was not as mature as this young man is, and he's taught me a lot about life. It makes me think back all the things that I was doing wrong that I need to help other people with, and he's brought so much into my life with his happiness, with his joy, but also, most importantly, his hard work. He works his ass off every day, whether it's in the gym or at his job. He's an entrepreneur. He's going to talk about all that stuff, and he's a go-getter. And like I tell everybody all the time, you want to surround yourself with great people, successful people, because that's how you become successful. So even today at 52, and all the money I made in the world, I'd still look back and I'm still trying to learn, even if it's from young men or women. But today happens to be a great young man, and we're just going to have a nice dialogue about his life and where he is today and where he was as a young man. And like I said, I'm very blessed to have him in my life. So let's get this thing started. Jay, welcome.
Pleasure to be here, TJ.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us. It's really, really important to me that you're here because I want you to tell everybody a little bit about your background. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, your family life, all that stuff. So I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an internet marketer. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I have a company. It's called Recov. Basically, what Recov is a pain relief cream, and it helps folks get out of pain. So if you have any sort of soreness, arthritis, stiffness, etc., it's the best for it. It's also good to enhance your performance in the gym. I use it every day on whatever body part I'm training to increase blood flow, increase muscular endurance, prevents injury, etc. I came across this product a few years ago from my father. I used to see him every single day growing up in pain. He would always have all sorts of different injuries just as a bodybuilder, playing different sports throughout the years. And if you know him, he's just a rough dude. And
I do know him, by the way.
So over the years, I've seen him try everything to alleviate his pain, and nothing ever worked for him. And as soon as he came across this, he had a friend that was a doctor, and he makes all sort of skincare and topical products. And the guy's a genius that made Recov. But over time, I saw him this was what he really relied on, and I saw that it was the only thing that worked for him. So therefore, I knew that there were other people experiencing the same issue that he had. So, other people, they resort to opioids or other harmful chemicals as far as, alleviating pain.
Absolutely.
And this was an alternative to that. So at the time, I was just starting my internet marketing career, and all I ever wanted was a winning product. It was kind of tough for me at the time. I was in college. I didn't have a big budget to work with, and I was trying to learn everything on my own. I was bootstrapping my way to the top and learning all the skills that I needed to, and it was very time-consuming and hard at the time. But when he approached me with this, it was it was the perfect scenario, because it was obviously father-son relationship. That's a beautiful thing to start a business with your father. But it all played out perfectly because I had the background with marketing, and he had this remedy at the time. It wasn't even a brand or really even a real product that was out in the market. It was just something that he was using at the time. So he just needed some assistance with putting it all together.
How did he meet up with the doctor? Like it's a friend of his, or yeah.
So at the time, it was a friend of a friend, really. Um, his one friend, he was selling the product as an affiliate for the doctor, and it wasn't really anything huge. It wasn't a solidified brand
Right.
yet. And yeah, and then eventually, my father's friend, he introduced him to the doctor, and they formed a relationship.
That's awesome. Guys, now you've brought this product out to market, and kind of tell us where that's going right now.
So the whole goal with Recov, I saw this product and it was relieving all sorts of pain for people. So I had much more big of goals to launch this brand as far as just a single product. I wanted a full recovery line that really dialed down in that niche as far as anti-inflammation. So that's why I named it Recov, as like total recovery, you know?
Yeah, great name.
So my whole goal with Recov is basically to scale out that product and move into other recovery related products.
That's great. And by the way, guys, I use it, my wife uses it, and it works. Because I use it after the gym. I'm much older, as you all know, 52. So the recovery for me is a lot harder than him at 25. And, you know, it's a really, really good product. So tell me a little bit more about let's talk about your childhood and how all that stuff started and where you came from, because we kind of jumped into your product. But let's talk about more about how you grew up and where you're from and all that stuff first.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think a lot of the things, the qualities, the skills that I've currently embody as an entrepreneur, as an internet marketer, came from wrestling growing up. I started off as a little kid playing football, but it eventually moved over to wrestling, and that was something that was I was very serious about that. That was a huge part of my life, and I thought, you know, today I thought I'd still be wrestling, but I eventually went a different route. Unfortunately, in the sport of wrestling, the finances aren't there. You can't really make a lot of money when it comes to wrestling. I mean, you know, some of these Olympic guys, they do get a good chunk of change, but it wasn't the route that I was looking for.
Right.
So I took those qualities as far as, you know, if you've ever wrestled before, you know. There's a famous quote that I like by Dan Gable: once you've wrestled in life, everything else is easy.
Right.
And
that's true.
Going through that day-to-day grind, you know, my mind right now goes back to those hard practices and just getting after it day by day. And that's how entrepreneurship is. It's brutal. Not everybody is cut out for it.
Agreed. That's why there's a small amount of people that are entrepreneurs that are successful from it.
Absolutely. And I'm not here today to say that I am successful. I mean, I have had successes, no doubt about it, but I'm not at the top of the mountain is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I'm still at 52, not at the top of the mountain. I'm learning.
There's been a lot of times where I've been grinding for the result without seeing the result. And sometimes it might have felt so far away, but I just kept believing in myself. I still believe in myself. But what I'm trying to say with that is sometimes it's difficult to keep on going when you're not getting what you want, you know?
Exactly.
And
Absolutely.
Just keep on going day by day.
My wife always says to me, you know, most people quit after the first or second no. Just because one or two people say no doesn't mean that there isn't 10 other people, 10 no's later that may say yes. So you just got to keep grinding, and that's the hard part about being an entrepreneur. It's the hard part about being in entrepreneurship. That's it. That's all you need. And you know what? Here's another thing, guys, that we get along so well because we're both ex-athletes too. It just happens to be that he's a wrestler, but I was a ball player. But it's the same passion. You can hear it in his voice. It's the same passion that he has for wrestling that he has for his business. It's the same thing with me with baseball. The same passion I had about it is the same reason why I am now doing a podcast, why I went to Wall Street. All that stuff there is we're on the same playing field. So it doesn't really matter. This is why I always say it doesn't matter what age you are. If you can continue to learn from younger or older people, that means you're growing as a person. So, but this is, tell me about like when you were young, like did you just know you wanted to like sports? Boom, your dad put you in sports to keep you out of trouble.
Up to my dad.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be just like my dad.
That's awesome.
I wanted to be better than my dad, not in an egotistical way, but I just wanted to fix his mistakes, do better.
Yeah, that's and honestly, that's how I looked at my life. That's exactly,
I started playing football because my dad played football. I started wrestling because my dad wrestled.
Oh, your dad wrestled too?
Dad wrestled, yeah. And I would always hear like all of the amazing feats he would have in his career as a wrestler.
Where were you born and raised?
Buffalo, New York.
Oh yeah, good old Buffalo. Good old Buffalo. Nice cold weather up there. Now we're in the nice warm weather down in Florida, man. I think we all end up in the Northeast somehow get down here. But so tell me a little bit more about your wrestling career when you were younger. A little bit more about your feats and all that other stuff that was going on in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as wrestling goes and playing sports growing up, I always knew that those lessons were going to be carried on over into entrepreneurship and business. We discussed earlier, we have some similarities as far as being an athlete, as sports goes. You wanted to be a professional baseball player. I wanted to win everything that there was possible in wrestling. And you and we both know that we did everything we could do to be the best we could be. And sometimes it can be a little discouraging when you don't get what you want, when you are giving it your all, when you are like taking a rag and squeezing everything you got out of it.
True.
So, like when I was kind of going into a different chapter of my life, I just knew that those lessons were going to be carried over into my life, into other relationships, into business, into entrepreneurship, everything as far as dealing with adversity.
Did you win the state championship?
No, I didn't. That was ultimate goal of mine. That was something that meant a lot to me, but unfortunately I didn't meet that goal. I was close to it, but I knew that better things were going to pan out from that.
So you were 18 years old, 17 years. You didn't win the state championship, because I will tell you this about me. When I had my biggest disappointment was when I was in college at 23, not getting drafted. I saw my whole demeanor change. You turned it into something super positive. That you didn't go down a road where you thought that, oh, fuck, let me start partying a little bit harder now. I didn't win the state championship, or let me do something self-destructive. I was very, very self-destructive at that age where you are today at 24, and you being smart enough to be at 18.
Let me take a step back, though, because my life ain't all sunshine and rainbows. Where I don't want you to think, I was playing sports and then all of a sudden all this magic started happening in business. No, not at all. I started college and I wanted to make money out of high school. I knew I wasn't going to be making money with wrestling because just not that I didn't have the skills to do so. It's just unfortunate that sport isn't financially supported.
Right.
So therefore, I wanted to get into business. I wanted to make the best life that I could for myself. I just wanted to make money, and so I delved myself into business. So I started college, and I kind of took a dip as an athlete. I wasn't working out as much. I was kind of not living exactly the typical college life. I wasn't a frat boy or anything like that. But the grind, the discipline wasn't there with my academics in the beginning as far as like the way I looked at wrestling, like looking at a goal like that, aiming for a state title. I didn't have the epiphanies, the realizations of how I was going to piece this together in business. When I first got into business, my degree was like sports management. I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
I was an athlete, and
Right.
I knew I wanted to get into business, so I put the two together. I'm like, I like sports, I like business. Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
I didn't know how much money
right.
they made, and then it slowly evolved to like business management. And then I learned how businesses actually made money, and it was through marketing. Marketers are the rainmakers in the business. So I was like, that's what I need to specialize in. That's what I need to get good at.
Right.
So I moved to that. But when I really started developing skills for myself and seeking out mentors and self-education, I didn't learn what I needed to make this product and this brand from college. I learned it from my mentors, self-education. There's some assistance of certain lessons I learned in college that maybe were helpful, but it's unfortunate. A lot of people know in society that college it could be a necessary thing. It's great to have a degree, to have that on your resume, to have a plan B or some sort of seatbelt. But
when you're an
unfortunately, right now,
yeah.
nowadays in the education system, they don't give you what you need.
I agree.
As far as developing, like you could buy $1,000 course and get everything you need out of a certain skill rather than spending $100,000 on a degree.
And it's somebody that you look up to. And a lot of times you go into these universities and you're there and you're taking this class. Some of it's core classes that you have to take that are boring as shit. And then you get into something a little bit that you may like, and then you may not even have a connection with the professor, and you're like, why the fuck am I in this class? But you dig deep to find somebody like your mentors that I think you even told me when we were in the gym, these mentors were more like
those are my friends.
Those are your friends, not the people in college.
I would be listening to them on the podcast. They'd be in my ears, and I'd say, those are my friends.
That's intense shit. So, like, you got to remember, he's in college.
Because my friends weren't helping me.
They weren't helping.
Environment is everything.
Exactly.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
You know, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Exactly. And it's funny because I thought I had 1 million friends. Well, I had a million acquaintances. True friends are people like this that actually think alike,
exactly,
like-minded, that want to do things that you think are smart and don't just poo-poo you or think that you're some idiot that his dreams are pipe dreams. No, dreams are meant to be made, and if you're with the right people, you can always achieve them. The manifestation shit is real. It really is real. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting when you said to me in the gym that time where you were like, yeah, my friends were my mentors. I was like, man, I was blown away by that because at 18, 19, I mean, I was thinking baseball, but even I didn't start thinking about that until I was in my 40s and 50s. Like and I had gone through life already once.
And they're technically not even my friends right now. Like I'm at a certain point where like I share certain lessons, certain experiences with people around my age, and they can't relate. They look at me like I got 3 heads, you know. And it kind of sounds a little egotistical to say like I don't want to seem like I'm ahead of the game, but I prioritize certain things a little bit differently compared to other people.
You're very mature. That's the bottom line, guys. And this is one of the reasons why I have him on here, because there's a lot of young guys that need to hear this young man speak. And by the way, not by any means, he will be super successful and worth probably millions and millions of dollars one day. But right now, working his balls off to just be that guy, harder than anybody else. I see him in the gym. I see it all the time. I guarantee, I don't see him at work because I don't go to his work, but I guarantee it's just as hard as he works in the gym. And it's super impressive to see young men like that are out there doing this. And this is what I want my young men in my household to be like, and that's what I'm raising. So that's why we have an attraction to each other, and this is why we're here today. So it really blew me away when you said that about your mentors. Those were your buddies. Those were your guys.
And I'm at a certain point right now. It's like I want to immerse myself into that inner circle with that level of mentors and people with those sorts of skills. So I guess that's kind of what I touched at the beginning. You know, I kind of waited a certain point where to share my message, to share my journey, my experiences with other people. Sometimes I felt like I needed to be at the top of the mountain where everything was perfect before I could start talking about things with people. But in reality, that's not what people want to see. People are on their own journey.
Yeah.
Not everyone else is at the top of the mountain. They want to go through it with you together.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I started this podcast after realizing that all the mistakes I made in my life, but mistakes are learning lessons, as we know. And if you don't look at them as learning lessons, then you're going to be stuck in the same bullshit you were for the rest of your life, and you just go around in that cesspool. And today, because of this sign, because of these things, my kids are behind me on this. Young guys like yourself are behind me. Older people have been giving me compliments about all the stuff that's going on in my life. And I'm telling you, I thought money was the thing, and I say this all the time. I'm like, it's just not even close to happiness. It's not. It's not. This shit right here is happiness.
Yeah, that's something I always wanted to avoid too. As I saw growing up, I would see, someone, I'd be like 10, 15 years old, I'd see someone 30, 40, 50, 60, and like they'd be wealthy and they'd say they're unhappy, and it's like, whoa, I want to avoid that. You know what I mean? Like that's terrible, and I've experienced that myself too. We talked about this earlier as well. When you're about my age, you said you're so money focused.
Oh, so money hungry.
That's all you cared about.
Always.
Maybe not completely, but that was a huge priority of yours, you know?
There was a lot of it.
And that's how I felt when I first started immersing myself and learning all these skills, because it was very unhealthy. And it took a toll on my health in ways I don't know.
Yeah, I think you told me too.
I had certain thoughts and moments years ago where I'd be like, I'll get healthy a little later, like you know what I mean? Like I'll go to the gym later, like once I have the money and whatnot, you know.
It's very similar to what I said to my pops,
But sometimes you might not have that later. You could go to a doctor's appointment, you got stage 4 cancer or whatever it might be, and like you don't have the time to fix it. So it's like you got to prioritize your health first, and it goes into your performance as well when you're making the money and on the pursuit of success, because you just feel like crap.
Yeah, it's something that I look back on every single day. When my dad was in my life, I turned to him when I got done playing pro ball, and the last thing I remember turning to him, we were driving back home from upstate New York, and I turned to him and I said, "Pops, I'm done fucking training. I'm going to eat, drink, and make lots of money like a Viking." But that's there's no balance there. I ate, drank, and made lots of money like a fucking Viking, and I was probably going to die sooner than I thought, you know? You need this balance in your life. And it's funny because I think you might have told me a little bit about, you had so much drive to want to be so successful, make the money when you were in college that, you got hooked on Adderall a little bit. And it's something that, like myself, I use that. For me, it was more of a masking the pain situation because of what had happened to me. Do you think that getting hooked on Adderall just gave you more energy or more focus to do what you want to do? But do you think you were masking the pain of anything that from prior to like not winning the state championship, that you needed to go harder than you were? Because in my eyes, I used to look at it as like, well, if I'm going to stay out with my brokers later, I can make more money this way. And if I can do that, I can stay on opioids. And then it was just a vicious circle for me. I always like to hear other people's, opinions on this stuff. So
yeah, and society has a huge issue with that. A lot of kids my age struggle with abusing Adderall. Students in college resort to that as a cheat code and whatnot. It was a great lesson in my life. I put that to the side a few years ago, and
congratulations.
Yeah, and I'm not here to say that that's a terrible medication, or folks
not.
that actually struggle with ADHD shouldn't take that. That's not what I'm trying to say here at all.
But you were abusing it.
Yeah, I would say so, definitely.
Yeah.
And it just kind of started with being in college, taking tests. As soon as I started to immerse myself into entrepreneurship and building online businesses, I needed to learn certain skills, take certain courses, and it just kind of got me through the days. It gave me the endurance to just keep focusing and not drift away with my mind. And in ways, it was just, it's terrible.
Yeah, and your health went down. You didn't eat, I guarantee you, because I know all this.
Absolutely, physically, mentally,
All of
you
it.
get crazy anxiety.
Yeah. Not
I lost
sleeping.
a bunch of weight. You could see it in my face. Not sleeping, and yeah, my mind was just on money and learning skills and just building online businesses, and I wasn't focused on going to the gym or prioritizing my health or prioritizing my mental health, spirituality, my relationships. Throughout college, I isolated myself a lot. I was not a party boy. I said I was not a frat boy, and I was just literally in my dorm room, like just
Buried.
buried
Yourself
in
in.
work, learning skills, and just building. And I did that because I knew in a couple years we were going to be walking across the graduation stage, and everyone was going to be like, "What's next? What do I do now?" And I wanted to be ready for that. And I'm not saying when that day came, like everything was in place for myself, but certainly more prepared than others. But yeah, that was.
Let's be honest, you were way ahead of the game than most, because when most graduate college, unless you know exactly you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, the rest of this college is like, fuck, I think I got to get a job. What am I going to do? I was one of those people. I went to college to play baseball. So once baseball ended, then I was like, fuck, I don't know really what my life's supposed to be about. My identity was baseball my whole life, or sports, and now I didn't know. So I went into sales. I mean, I realized I was good with people, talking about it, and that kind of led me. But did college teach me that? Mm-mm. But it's funny. It kind of made me think about when you had a roommate.
I had a few roommates throughout my college.
Did they just kind of leave you alone and been like, "Oh, the kid's fucking studying," or were they cool, or how did they act towards you?
Yeah, they were cool. They just really didn't care. Yeah, they
just
did their
like,
own
"Do
thing.
Do
Yeah,
your thing. I'm gonna do mine, and we're just roommates."
yeah.
Yeah. So you were really pretty much. I mean, I'm sure you had a few friends that you hung around with, but like you were pretty much on your own.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Lonely.
definitely.
Yeah, that's
Definitely. That's something that sucked at times.
yeah.
And it still is lonely at times. Entrepreneurship is a lonely road.
Yeah,
But it makes you stronger, and you got to be built for it.